guys, today's topic is going to be on the hollow position. I know we've mentioned it so many times in class whenever it comes to gymnastics movements or the ab wheels, but what is a hollow position? What does it actually do? And then how to, maybe a couple movements that we can do to make sure that you're engaging that hollow position aside from like the normal ab wheels and stuff like that in class. Because getting a hollow position is actually going to transfer so much better into so many other movements that we do, especially the gymnastics things once you get into the pull-ups, ring dips, a lot of the kipping things, but also in terms of keeping your trunk stable. So where the hollow position is where your tailbone is slightly tucked under and you're kind of almost in this very like concave shape. And by nature, you know, when we stand, a lot of people tend to push their pelvis forward, their butt tends to curl under, and what happens is your lower back or your spine starts to have a little bit of a curve in it, and it kind of actually compresses that spine just a little bit. And by hollowing out that position, you actually straighten that spine out from the midline all the way down through your pelvis, and that's what's going to keep a lot of your core stability. Like once your spine gets out of alignment and it starts to kind of curve every which way direction, then you're relying so much more on your muscles around here to kind of bring it back to where it needs to go. But if you can keep your spine in alignment from the start, that's going to kind of work with the muscles around your core that you have to be much stronger at a lot of these movements and much more efficient at them. So let's kind of go over now a couple different moves that you can do to really start to feel kind of what this like lower back tucked under, making sure everything is kind of in alignment, feels like. And you know, it does again lend itself towards, you know, when you're in the bottom, for example, of like a squat, having that core stability so that your butt doesn't kind of wink under or anything else, but everything is nice and aligned. And we're always talking about how to protect that lower back and that lumbar curve all the time. So first move is we're going to go over dead bugs actually, but instead of just doing them free-flowing on the floor, because this is supposed to be an exercise that targets and wakes up the core, we're going to actually do it against a wall. So you're actually going to put your hands against the wall and you're going to use your hands to think about pressing that lower back into the ground. And what we're aiming for again is this concave shape where my shoulder blades are off the ground, so the shoulder blades are not touching the ground, and then just these last few vertebrae of the spine are what's on the ground. You don't want to be on your tailbone because then you're just flexing at the hips, but you want to make sure that the lower part of your spine is on the ground. So you're going to use your hands to press that lower back, okay? So literally dead bugs because you're squishing the dead bug right under your low back. That's what's causing the bug to be dead. So you're going to use your hands to press down your low back as you bicycle your legs back and forth and do this for about 10 to 20 reps on each leg. So you can use your hands. So again, the reason for the hands being here is to push your lower back. So by kind of holding yourself against the wall, you can press that lower back down into the ground even more to feel that engagement of that hollow position. And when you're bicycling the legs, you're hovering the feet again about a few inches above the ground and keeping it slow and controlled. And by again, your hands are leveraged to help keep your lower back against the ground. So that's one way to start thinking about the hollow position. If you're dead bugs, you tend to feel that your lower back is peeling off the ground. Try them against a wall without using the arms, but just your legs, just to feel how that's like. Second thing you can do is actually just a static hold, an actual hollow hold. And what we're going to do is instead of taking the arms overhead, let's just practice with our arms at the side, because once the arms start going overhead, I don't know about you, but it's really hard for me to maintain that hollow position because then my lower back starts to peel off the ground and then we lose that spinal alignment. So best way to get into it is kind of coming on your tailbone. You're going to curl up and start rolling into a little ball. I want you to feel that lower back rounding against the ground, okay? So it's this moment of the lower back right before you get onto your tailbone that you want to have on the ground. So once you kind of lock that in place, and right now my abs are tight and feeling it just to hold myself in this position, then you're going to want to start to straighten your legs out, keep that lower back against the ground. You may not actually get your legs as straight as you can, but you want to keep your shoulder blades and your upper back off the ground as you reach down. And this is going to help you feel that hollow position. And work up towards holding this for 20, if you can, 30 seconds for about 3 or 4 sets. You want to rest about
maybe a minute or so between each set, or if you're going to do it for 20 seconds, rest for 40 seconds, and then repeat like every minute, 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off, to really start to feel that hollow position. And again, the key point is making sure that lower back makes contact against the ground. You're not coming into this boat pose where your tailbone's on the ground, because again, you're just bending at the hip flexor, but you want to make sure that that lower back, those last few vertebrae of your spine are what's pressing down to the ground as you reach and hold. Now, if you do have this, and this is really easy, you could hold it for like a minute, start to go overhead, but once you start going overhead, then you'll notice like your upper back is going to want to start to come to the ground a little bit more, and then once your shoulder blades hit the ground, then you're going to get that space under your lower back and it's starting to pop up. So you want to try to maintain that lower back pressing against the ground as much as you can. You can kind of experiment here and see how long you can hold, but once that lower back comes off the ground, you're no longer in that hollow position anymore. You're compensating with your spine moving in different directions. And it's basically the same as like an upside down ab wheel. Like ab wheels, when we do them on our knees, this is actually like the scaled version to be able to go on your knees like this. Like the real version of the ab wheel is doing it, the non-scaled, like the RX version, is actually doing it from your feet where you're on your feet and you actually come out as far as you possibly can so you end up in this hollow position. Which leads to like the third drill that I'd like you guys to try, inch crawls, reaching out just a little bit more. So next time you're going to do your inchworms, so you're going to come down to your inchworm, and then from the heels, you'll go ahead and like, walk yourself out, and try to keep, again, this upside down V shape or the C shape. And then, once you get to the point where you're at the plank, try to kind of walk yourself out just a little bit more and maintain that upside down C for as long as you can, and try to get yourself down to the ground. You're going to want to feel your lower back is slipping down, but really try to keep that butt and abs up. And actually, when you're up here, instead of poking the butt up to the sky, you're going to tuck the tailbone under and aim the lower back to the sky as you're walking out. And just go as far as you can, and then go ahead and walk it back in. So, try a couple inch crawls where, again, you're walking out just a little bit further than you normally would past your plank, just to see how your body feels getting into this more upside down hollow position. So not on your back anymore, but kind of upside down. Tuck the tailbone under, reach that lower part of the back towards the ceiling. Okay, so not the butt, but the lower back. As you walk it out just a little bit further, see how far you can manage, and then walk it back in. And that's also going to really help to strengthen, a lot of the core is not necessarily just this lower part of the back here of the core, but it reaches all the way through our arms. If you notice, you had toes to bar, L-sits, this part, like lats and everything else, this squeezing motion, even up through your pecs, like a lot of that plays a lot into the core. And hopefully you can try these 3 movements, the dead bug against the wall, the holding of that hollow position right here, arms forward, 20 seconds on, 40 seconds off for about 3 or 4 times. And then also doing some inch crawls where you walk out just a little bit further, tuck the tailbone under, but push that lower back up against the sky, and see how far you can walk it out before you have to come back in. So use some of these moves along with the ab wheels. I mean, the ab wheels are great. They help me to get so much stronger in the hollow position as well. And these are some supplementary things that you can do as well to help get a better understanding of what it feels like to be in that hollow position.